Hello and welcome to Knife Delights. This is part 2 of the buck knives that I've added to my 2023 collection. And we'll start off with some modern knives. And I'll just say this, make sure you see part 1. It basically covers all of the slip joint knives. I got some really great slip joints, especially Buck 301s, some very historic ones. So I'll put a link to part 1 down in the description box. But anyway, let's start with some moderns. Okay, this was a antique store find here, and this is a Buck 181 Odyssey. Buck 81 Odyssey, and this was from 2013, and Buck made several variations of this knife, but as you can see, it's a liner lock. It has a pretty interesting blade. So the 181 Odyssey. Okay, next here, this is a knife that was actually gifted to me. John from J.O. Ventures Outdoors sent me this wonderful knife. It's an assisted opening. Got a lock to slide back there, and flipper tab, and she just flips right out. I think this is named the Quick Fire. It's a mid-lock, and she shoots out there pretty good. And you can lock it there, so that in your pocket anyway, it won't open. Yep. So yeah, look at that. Take the lock off. Remember, take the lock off. There you go. But yep, the Quick Fire, the 288. Thank you, John. Once again, I appreciate it. Welcome addition to my collection. This one, well, this is a pawn shop find. Just cost a few dollars. This is the 870 Bones, and this one's made in China. The first two there were made in the USA, and kind of a skeletonized knife, camouflaged, partially serrated, tanto end here, kind of like a harpoon shape up there. So yeah, kind of a fantasy knife in a way, if you ask me, but I guess Buck is trying to appeal to all kinds of different customers. So yeah, the 870 Bones. Okay, we'll continue on with a couple other unique knives. Sorry for the background noise, the furnace just kicked on. This here is a gift from RW. Thanks, W. This is the Buck 886 Tacklight, and it was only made in 2004. Look at those nice wood handles on it. So this is a special knife. One, because it's a gift from RW, and two, because it's a unique knife that was only made 1 year. Look at that blade shape, partially serrated, and it is a liner lock. Alright, the Buck 886 Tacklight. Another interesting piece I was able to find. This is called a Swiss buck. And we showed an Odyssey knife earlier, but this Swiss buck model is called the Odyssey also. So Wenger and Buck kind of partnered up. I think this is in the 90s, 80s or 90s, because Buck was trying to hit more of the European market, and Wenger wanted to hit the US market more, so they kind of come up with this collaboration. So this is the Swiss Buck, excuse me, Swiss Buck Odyssey. Okay, I've got a trio of knives here from the 700 series. I already had the other two. There's 5 knives in the series. I already had these two, but this year I was able to pick up this, let's see, which one is this here? This one here is the 705 Pony, and it's described as a tiny executive knife. So you've got that clip point blade, and then that, golly, why can't, a coping blade. I just keep forgetting the name of the coping blade tonight. Alright, so there's that one. Then we have this one. This is the Buck 704, and the 704 is called the Maverick. And you notice on this one there was no shield on it. This one has a shield with italics, the script, and the script on the tang stamp. I did a video on the 700 series from inception and showed the different models and the different script, the different printing and the inlays, and I went over the different shields, or like on this one, a lack of a shield, and the progression of this series of knives. Okay, and last we have, this is the 701. So this would be equivalent to the 301 Stockman, only it's very fancy. And they were built extra tough. They were marketed for being extra strong. And this line was actually supposed to replace the 300s, like the 301 and those knives. So it's kind of funny that these knives went away, but the old traditional ones are still around. So there you go. I forgot to include these on my slip joints, but these are slip joint knives. Alrighty, how about some lockback knives? This little knife down here, if you're familiar with the Buck Knight, well, this is called the Lady Buck or the White Knight. And it's the 506, but it's the same frame and blade as the 505 Knight. The only difference is you have these, well, they were white micarta inlays here. And they originally called it the Lady Buck, and I guess they didn't sell very many of them because maybe it sounded too feminine, so they changed the name to the White Knight. This dandy knife here was a gift to me from Zen Ali, so thank you, Zen. I appreciate it very much. And we can continue on here. We have a couple of 110s. I actually think there's a third one, but I'm not exactly sure if I got it in 22 or 23, the 120th anniversary edition. So I left it out, but here we are represented with this one here, and this one is in S30V, and I believe this was a Smoky Mountain Knife Works limited edition. The sheath for it, the pocket sheath, belt sheath, is in brown suede, and it has a button on there for Boone and Crockett, as it's part of the Boone and Crockett Club. So, limited edition knife. This was a gift from Byron Kennedy, and he actually donated 2 of these for me, one to keep and one to give on my giveaway for 2,000 subs. So he went above and beyond. So thank you, Byron, so much. And while I'm talking about this, Byron is contemplating starting a knife channel of his own. So we want to encourage Byron to go ahead and pull the trigger on that, and let's get going with your channel. Okay, here's another. This is an exclusive 2023 Bourbon and Blades, and it's kind of special because C.J. Buck, who is the great-grandson of Hoyt Buck and the current CEO of Buck Knives, he personally engraved that. So yeah, this was an exclusive from Red Hills Cutlery. What a wonderful addition. And I think I have one more lockback to show yet, and this was very recent, just within the last few days. HT EDC sent me this wonderful Buck 110 Lite, and these are just wonderful knives. They're inexpensive. I think they're $20–25. I haven't looked lately. You can probably find them at Walmart. You know, nice little belt pouch. They're extremely light, and yet it's a full-size knife. So you know, for a secondary knife, for an emergency knife to put in an emergency bag or something like that, this is a wonderful backup knife. Alrighty, I think that does it for my lockbacks. Well, let's look at a few fixed blade knives here. This is the, what do they call it, the Max Lite, I believe. The number is 684. And this is the second edition of it. I also have the first edition of it, but they changed the handle here a little bit. But these are dandy little knives too, kind of a budget. Still made in the USA. Nice and grippy. 420HC standard blade material. These are handy dandy little knives too. Again, kind of along lines of that Buck 110 Lite. These are extremely light knives, and they serve great purposes for secondary knives, or maybe even a starter knife for if one of your children are getting of age and they need a fixed blade. Why, these are pretty handy knives. It comes in a nylon sheath. My biggest purchase as far as fixed blades, the one that I've been wanting forever and ever, and I never for whatever reason I never picked one up, and I finally decided I was going to order one, and this is the Buck 113. And as you can see, it came from the custom shop, and that's blue wood, the blue wood handle on it. Of course, you got that nice lanyard hole in there. I've got a lot of people say this is their favorite knife for processing deer. This is just a wonderful, wonderful knife. I love that blade shape. And it costs like 10 extra dollars, but I got the sheath in the brown distressed leather. It says Buck there. And even the sheath is proudly made in the USA. Okay, to wrap things up, here, a month or so ago, I was visiting Big J, and we went antiquing, and lo and behold, to my shock and surprise, I found this box just kind of stuck back behind in a counter. The knife wasn't even out of it, but I just saw the box, and I knew right away we had something special in there. And this is a new in the box Buck 105 from 1987, and they did have the paperwork in it also. So this was, I think, my last fixed blade purchase of the year. Well, folks, I hope you've enjoyed this little tour of, part 2 here, and also in part 1 of what I've collected this year, 2023. Well, it's 2024 now, but in 2023, what I collected. I think I met my goal. I wanted to really increase my collection, and I think I picked up a lot of fantastic pieces. Again, I may have left 1 or 2 out, didn't include it, that I didn't find, or what have you, but this is pretty much what I did in 2023. So leave me a comment. What do you think? Did I do right? I sure hope so. Well, I tell you what, down in the lower right-hand corner, I'll leave a link to my Buck Knives playlist. That center spot there, that round knife delights, why, hit that if you'd like to subscribe. And down here in the lower left-hand corner, well, that's just the next video YouTube thinks you should watch. So until next time, have a very delightful day.